Hello and welcome to 1 Minute Theatre Reviews. I'm Paul Seven Lewis. This is the Gielgud Theatre and I'm here for the world premiere of The Mirror and the Light. Following the Royal Shakespeare Company's outstanding stage versions of the first two books of Hilary Mantel's trilogy, we now arrive at the final volume, The Mirror and the Light. So, did it reach the heights or fall from grace? Now, just in case you don't know your history or haven't read the book, we begin with Thomas Cromwell in prison, his fate already sealed. We see who his enemies are and who among his allies has betrayed him. The prison set is dark and foreboding with high, steely grey walls, designed by Christopher Oram. Then we go back in time to when Cromwell was still riding high, and we realise the court is almost identical to the prison. Even the king is trapped by what is required of his position, and the rest are prisoners to his royal whims. The story of Cromwell's fall plays out and is more, not less, tense for our knowing what awaits him. We see the fragility of his power. We see his own awareness of his vulnerability. Well, that's the 1 minute review, but keep watching for more about The Mirror and the Light. It's important to say that this is not a simple adaptation of a novel. It's as if writers Hilary Mantel and Ben Miles have taken the same story of Cromwell and written a play about it. So we're not inside Cromwell's head as in the book, but rather witnessing this central character's interaction with those around him, showing how others see him and how he works the court. In some ways it feels Shakespearean, and Jeremy Herrin's production has the feel of a traditional production of one of his history plays. Everyone looking like they've stepped out of a painting by Hans Holbein. The language, while not as poetic, has an Elizabethan style, but also it has pace and a natural feel. The resemblance to modern-day politics, or even office politics in The Mirror and the Light, is striking. Cromwell, hated by his fellow councillors and by the people, is entirely dependent on the goodwill of the king. Years ago, British Prime Minister Harold Macmillan said that politicians feared events, and so it proves for Cromwell. A mishandled Northern rebellion, the death of Jane Seymour, a disastrous marriage for the king to Anne of Cleves, and the king begins to have less faith in his right-hand man. And that's all his enemies need. Chief of which is the Duke of Norfolk, played by Nicholas Woodeson as a little weasel of a man, and he takes every opportunity to bring about Cromwell's downfall. And Cromwell is always there, or at least in the others' thoughts. He's not exactly a good man. In fact, actually, he's a greedy manipulator, but he comes across as honourable, at least by the standards of the day, and compassionate, for example, to Princess Mary, in a way that few of the others seem to be. Ben Miles' performance as this complex man, laughing, worrying, macho, submissive, his eyes constantly flitting round the room, is a tour de force. And he's complemented by Nathaniel Parker's Henry, the mirror and the light of the title, who in fact is a capricious child in an oversized man's body, self-indulgent, self-pitying, lonely. A telling moment sees him alone, feeling the cold, desperate for the warmth of the fire. With a cast of 24, this Royal Shakespeare Company production has an epic feel. And it's a well-chosen, diverse cast who are a complement to the RSC's casting director, Helena Palmer. Melissa Allan reveals the steel in Mary Tudor. You can see Bloody Mary waiting to burst out. Geoffrey Lumb as Thomas Risley and Leo Wan as Richard Reich make you recoil at their sliminess. Terique Jarrett as Cromwell's son Gregory adds a bright presence, and Jordan Kouame is moving as Cromwell's ally Rafe Sadler, desperate to save him without offending the king. Matthew Pidgeon's double act as the friendly ambassador Eustache and the vicious Bishop Gardiner is impressive. Inevitably, death hangs over this evening. The ghost of Cromwell's old mentor, Cardinal Wolsey, played by a jolly Tony Turner, is always around, as is Thomas's influential father, influential on Thomas, I mean, played with a spitting nastiness by Liam Smith. Now, I'm sorry if I've made the evening sound grim, because it's actually leavened with a great deal of humour. Paul Adeyefa brings comedy to Cromwell's faithful French servant Christophe. And Nicholas Boulton is a Tigger-like Duke of Suffolk, a friend to Cromwell in the sense of, with friends like these, who needs enemies? And Joe Herbert has some great cynical one-liners as Lady Rochford. Olivia Marcus is a sympathetic, innocent Jane with possibly the funniest moment of the evening when she complains to Cromwell and some of the ladies about Henry's unreasonable demands, which an embarrassed Thomas, assuming them to be sexual, tries to coax out of her exactly what they are, only to discover that she's referring to the king wanting her to ride with him to inspect the fortifications at Dover. After the roller coaster of events leading to Cromwell's arrest, the ending is somewhat downbeat. And this is partly because Cromwell accepts his fate with dignity. And despite a dramatic beheading orchestrated by illusionist Ben Hart, it's a climax that didn't leave me quite as shocked or drained as I expected. Nevertheless, I give The Mirror and the Light 4 stars. I hope you found this review useful, and if you want to be the first to know about my future reviews, please subscribe to this channel. And if you'd like to read my reviews, go to oneminutetheatterreviews.co.uk. Thank you for watching.